Hey guys, welcome back to the Hat House. Appreciate you tuning back in. Today's video is all about hat shaping. So we did a live last night and we're going to go live every Wednesday night at 8:30. So make sure you hit the notification bells for that and check us out on our lives because we go through a lot of cool stuff, looking at cool hats, shaping up hats, cleaning hats, all those types of things. Be happy to have you and talk about some hat cleaning and just talk about hats. But what I did was I took that video, I just cut it down and got the really good parts of us cleaning and shaping these hats up and kind of going through some tips and tricks on shaping hats. So if you guys got any tips that you know of, make sure you drop those down in the comments below as well. There's always other ways to do things out there, but we're going to show you the Hat House way right now. Let's get to talking about shaping hats because there's been a lot of questions about it. And if you guys are watching this back later, make sure you comment down below your questions that you have about shaping hats. I'll be happy to cover those with you guys. I've just kind of started shaping hats in the past year myself. And it's getting a little extra money out of those hats, especially when you got some in these kind of conditions. So first thing you got to get is a shaper. We got two different sizes of the shaper, but also you can use things around your house too. If you have a pot, some people use a bucket, some people use all sorts of things. You can use those around your house. I'm not trying to tell you that hat shapers is the only way that you can shape something up. These just kind of help a little bit. So you definitely got to find something to shape it with. You got to get a pot or something that resembles a head. And the next thing that I like to have is I have these two things right here. These are what I use to clean and brush the hat off before I go to steaming it. So I got this is a cleaner that I bought from Amazon, but I just filled it with some Dawn and some water. And that's what I use to clean 90% of hats that are dirty. And this little hat brush right here. They both come in really handy. So those you'll need. The second thing, or the third thing you'll need, this is starch. This is just regular starch. I fill it halfway full with regular starch, and then the rest of the way up with water. If you want like extra strong hold, you can use just the starch, or you can, if you don't want as much hold, you can put less starch in. It's just, I do 50-50, works out pretty well for me. The other thing that you'll need is a steamer. I use this Conair steamer, got it at Walmart, works fine. I like it. The only thing about the steamer I don't like, I would think it had some sort of safety off. You know, it doesn't turn off. You have to make sure and turn it off. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I should remember to turn it off, but I leave it on all the time. So that's the problem with that steamer. Otherwise, it works great. You can also get these shapers. I don't like them. You can find a better alternative probably around your house, but these are really cheap on Amazon, like $12 for 4 of them. But they give the hat like this, like a balloon shape, and I don't really like that shape, so I don't recommend them. You can use them. I use them in a pinch, but I don't really like them. So let's get to shaping up a hat. I think that's everything that we're going to need. Let's start with this Vikings hat. You get a pancake like this, right, guys? You see these all the time. You get a pancake Viking hat. We're going to get our hat shaper, whatever we decide to get, a bowl, or if we decide to use a pot or whatever. I like this. And we're going to get it on there. It already looks 10 times better, right? We got it on here like this. I always, on these, and the reason why I like the shaper that I have, if you're probably doing on a bowl, is it has this groove right here. It has a handle kind of inside, but then it has this groove right here. And I can take these paper clips like this, clip it down on the sides, clip it down on the other side. I get it really tight to the bowl, and then I clip it down. And then when I have it clipped down like this is when I do all my brushing, right? Then I'm going to make sure and clean off the hat. It's clipped down. It's not going to move around. I get all the dirt off. If there's a spot on the hat, that's when I just use my Dawn. I'll put a little bit of Dawn on there. See, it just kind of foams up there. It's not like a whole bunch of Dawn. It's just enough to kind of brush the hat to get this spot off if you had a spot there. And you just kind of work it out. If you end up with like excess or too much Dawn, which is always bad, you don't want a bunch of soap on it. You can dab this in a little bit of water, brush it off again, and then get a microfiber cloth and then just kind of wipe it off. So once I have it on here, once I have it cleaned off the best that I want to have it, have all the lint and hair and everything that a hat collects 100 times, then we're going to steam it. The steaming will help the shape, but it won't set in the shape, right? So we're just going to steam this hat, wait for the steam to go. We're just going to steam around it. I don't know how well I'm showing this on camera, but really just go across the front really good. This is the main part. This is where the form of the hat is, right on the front. And then steam it really good right here. The steamer is loud. You kind of steam up the back a little bit. The back is just not as important. It'll help get some of the wrinkles out and make it look a little better. But it's really all about this crown, right? And about this front area right here where you usually get wrinkles. All right, we're going to say that's good. Of course, you'll run into hats that are worse than this, that will take longer. This one's kind of a wool blend, so it shapes out. The twill can sometimes take a little longer. And then what I do is I take it back off because I'm going to starch it on the inside and on the outside. You can see it's holding up a lot better than it was already. And the steam did a big portion of the job. It's got this mesh right here kind of formed how you want it to. And it kind of holds a lot better shape already. My lighting kind of sucks here. But then we're just going to use our liquid starch that we mixed up 50-50. And I always spray the inside, just spray some starch. And mainly we're just trying to get the area right there that we steamed up. You can put a little bit around. Two other things about starch while we're talking about starch. Think about cardboard brims too. I mean, what's in cardboard? It's starch. Starch is what kind of gives cardboard its firmness. So if you have older hats and you need to get some starch into the brim, and you need to get some firmness back in the brim, you can kind of put a lot of starch on those brims too to kind of get the firmness back in there. So I always starch the inside and then I put it back on. I clip it back down. Starch is used for a lot of stuff. And the other thing about starch you didn't say, it's not just the firmness that it gives it. It will also bring the colors back to life a little bit. So always run some starch. I would say start off light on the starch to see how much firmness you want in the hat, how good you want it. But you can always go back and add some more starch later. And there you go. So we got our hat shaped up, starched up. It's going to look a million times better already on this hat right here with our handy dandy shaper. And then I always have some cups, and it's kind of the design of the shaper why you need that cup. Some of the shapers are like this tall and you can leave them on there, but mine, I didn't want them that tall. I wanted them, I'll kind of explain. If you set this directly onto the ground, it will push this bill up a little bit, right? And it could mess the shape up. It's better for like new era hats. If you want the bill to be flat, then you can set it directly on the ground. But I just use a cheap cup, and then we set this middle part onto the cup, and that way there's nothing kind of pushing down. I don't know how well you guys can even see that. You can't. I set it. So I just set it on the cup, and it'll hang out there for hours until it dries. All right, so there is that. This is kind of a sports hat. And I have two sizes of these, and these work. This is the smaller size. It works kind of better for the sports hats and the smaller hats. And then I'm going to do my best not to knock that off at any point, Jerry. I have a bigger size. This will work on anything like 7 3/8. Above a 7 3/8 new era is why I like to use the big one. Or I use it on these pancake trucker hats like this. So we're going to kind of show you the trucker hat as well. We're going to do the same kind of system. All right, let's do a trucker hat real fast. So we got our trucker hat, right? This is how we find trucker hats all the time. We find them like this. The first step is to clean out any extra foam or junk that was in it. We clean the foam out of this one. So we're going to take our bigger shaper. We're going to use that. We're going to put it in, and we've already got, this is kind of the shape that we're going to go for right here. There we go. We got it on here. I don't really clip these down. It's not really as big a deal on these. But same deal. We're going to spot clean anything on these trucker hats. We're going to spot clean the trucker hats. We're going to clean them off. And then we're going to steam them up. We'll steam this trucker hat right here just to get out any wrinkles.
I'll have to try Starch for the broken hat ribs if they don't sell them a lot.
Yeah, you can try it. I mean, like, but if they're brittle, it's not worth it. This one, it might get some firmness back to this one. So we gave it a little bit of steam on these trucker hats. But then what we're going to do is we're going to just do the same process we did for the other hat. See, the steam already gives it a little bit of stand-upness, better than we had. To finish it off, we're going to use our starch the inside again. The trucker hats take a lot. So we're just using starch on the inside here. You're going to want to get it pretty good. So we get our starch on the inside. We're going to put it back on our shaper. 2 hands is better. All right. So then we got kind of our shape right here that we want our trucker hat in. You can see it's really pretty saturated with starch. It takes a lot of starch on the trucker hats. We're going to starch the outside. And I make sure and get starch on everything, at least a light misting, because it kind of, like I said, it brings out the color too. And so you want the color to still kind of look even after you starch it. And then same thing with that, especially the truckers. You want to get a cup if you're using this hat shaper, because it will, if you lay this flat on the ground, it will kind of push this up. It'll kind of give you a crease right here. So we want to set it on the cup when we set it down so it doesn't kind of push the brim up, and we can keep a good shape. So this will have to dry for like 5 or 6 hours. So that's why I have a bunch of hat shapers, because I could do, somebody mentioned it the other day too. Like if you had one of those other shapers, they're like $40 or $50. You can only do like one hat at a time, and then, or you could use a bucket. Like I said, there's things around your house that you can use. I like to use this, but I can set it down here, and then I can walk away from this. I can work on another hat. So I got 2 hats setting up right now, which is really good.
I'm so glad you're showing this. You kept talking about steaming, shaping. I was thinking half an hour per hat.
No, the cleaning is the part that sucks the most. All right, guys, I let them dry out overnight, basically. It usually takes 5 or 6 hours for the starch to dry, especially on the trucker hat, because we soaked it so much. Now, the sports hat, you don't put a lot of starch on it, really, and we didn't put a whole lot, so it takes a little less time to dry. But let's check them out since we're done with them. We'll take the clips off here and see what the finished product looks like and how our shape is. See, it just slides right off. The shape is awesome on this hat. Not floppy at all. Then we can fold it up real nice. Really, really nice Vikings hat now. Really awesome shape on it. I think it looks pretty darn good. Let's look at this trucker hat. On the trucker hat, we used a little bit bigger bowl, right? We had to use a lot of starch, but you can see, you can always starch it again if you need to starch it again, and you can give it a little more firmness, but this one's pretty good. Pretty good. The firmness is really back in it, using, just basically soaking it with some starch. And as you can see, the process of doing it is only like 10 minutes. Once you have them cleaned out and you have them ready to go, what takes a while is drying them out, right? And so if you don't keep the form on them, they may not dry exactly like you want to. And that's why I use these, or you can use the bowls like we talked about, to dry them out and to so they keep the form while they're doing the drying process. So I appreciate you guys hanging out and checking out the shaping process. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Always happy to help.